heroism. It's the pursuit of two ideals, excellence and a higher purpose. This noble mission is not just found in Hollywood. It's a game changer for businesses devoted to it. Almost all business owners launch their company to make a difference in the world around them. Join us on the Heroic Experience as we talk with business owners, senior leaders, and established entrepreneurs so that you too can elevate your business to heroic success. Now, here's your host, John D. Hanson.
Welcome back to another episode of the Heroic Experience. We are proudly sponsored by Kaufman Media. Check out their digital signage solutions and far more on their website, kaufmanmedia.com. That's spelled COFFMAN media.com. I am happy on multiple levels to have our guest this morning with us, Marc Haine. Not only is he a Canadian, and my mom has dual citizenship. She's also Canadian and American, Canadian by birth, but just a delight. Every time I talk with Marc, I've been on his podcast multiple times, been a member of some of his summits. Just a ball of energy, and his writing, you've got to get a copy of his book. I'll tell you about that later. Just a great guy. So happy to have you with us this morning, Marc, and we'd love to hear your wow client stories to kick things off. Thanks for being with us.
Oh, thank you for having me. This is absolutely amazing. Thank you. What a great show. It's
been a blast. People's stories are what fascinate me. So the second segment is even more interesting because I get to hear people's stories. But I always want to start off with those wow stories of how you have changed clients' lives because you're a customer experience designer, you're an author and a speaker. How have those things wowed your customers?
Well, at the end of the day, I can't really do anything for my clients. It's up to the clients to do what they do. A perfect example is, I was working for a municipality, and one of my goals was to create a service excellence program locally. And one of the clients that were involved in our community was a pizzeria, and the gentleman's name was Terry. And Terry was a great owner in that he was passionate about what he did, but he was very old school.
Okay.
For him, it was all about the product that he sold. And we would do secret shopper reports, and he got really angry at his secret shopper because on the secret shopper noticed that the door was squeaky and that there were fingerprints all over the door. And Terry looked at that and instantly got, a little bit, got a little bit defensive.
Right.
And he says, why do I care that there's fingerprints on the door? Right? And he says, I make great pizza, and that's the only thing that counts. And so then I got to sit down with Terry, and we got to discuss a little bit about how do new customers know he makes great pizzas.
Right.
Because, yes, the deliverable of what he does, his pizza that he takes so much pride in, is amazing.
Sure.
But when somebody walks in for the very first time, how do they know? And so we had this lengthy discussion because we've all been in places that felt a little bit seedy. I would go, maybe I should just not make eye contact and we should just back out slowly.
Especially food places, right?
So we talked about it, and so once he started understanding it about how the place looks and feels and smells, all adds up to the experience that their customer gets, then he started bumping up his game. And the interesting thing happened. I visited him 3 months after our conversation, and all of a sudden I noticed that his staff were looking better. And I said, did you implement like a uniform policy? He goes, oh, no, they did that on their own.
Wow.
Once we started making the changes, and we took what you said to heart and we made those changes, all of a sudden the staff started behaving differently. And they started dressing better because they wanted the customer to know that they are the professionals. And it's like, isn't that amazing?
Yeah. Wow.
Right? That once we start caring about something, our staff will follow suit. They will step up to the plate.
Yeah. I had a guest on several shows ago, and he's in the customer experience space as well, a good friend of mine. And he had a saying, I said, I'm going to attribute this to you every time I use it, but I'm going to steal it and use it. He said that world-class customer experience is simple, but it's not easy. And so if you can communicate, take ideas that are simple to apply and actually add the intentionality and the effort and the ownership and the steps to make it happen, it's the follow through and the making it happen that's difficult. That a lot of businesses, if they would take some simple ideas and include them into their processes, into their systems, into their flow, so it's just every day, then you're adding everyday excellence to what you do. And I can't think of a better place to have an excellent first impression than food. The last thing, like you said, back out slowly. You're going to get food at a place that's well rated, but that's not your first impression, is it? The first impression is as soon as you hit the doormat or the front entryway, that's your first impression. And then everything from there before you ever take, in this case, the pizza and go home with it, right?
Exactly. It's all about intentionality.
Yes.
Right? Everybody wants, I truly believe that every business owner has passion for what they do.
Sure they do.
And in my many interviews of business owners, what I find really interesting is that you'll go into a business and it doesn't seem like people care very much.
Yeah. That's sad, isn't it?
But yet when you sit down to the owner and they're like, hey, how's it going? And they're shrugging their shoulders and, they know, that they're in the throes of it.
Yes.
But if you ask them the question, how did you get started? All of a sudden the eyes light up and they start getting excited and you see that's the reason why they started doing this.
Yes.
And somewhere along the way, they lost the path.
Yes. That's why the whole title of the show, The Heroic Experience, I found in the dictionary. I thought, mankind has been attracted, man, womankind, humankind has been attracted to heroism. It's pulled at us for millennia. Why is that? Is it just a Hollywood thing? Well, then I looked up the definition of heroism, and it's really the pursuit of two things, two ideals, a higher purpose and excellence. What business owner doesn't start off with those intentions of, they don't come in with, I'm going to make an okay product or service, a 3 stars good enough. No, they were passionate about something. They said, I can add value to clients. I can have something that's mine and add value to my family and to employees and team members and to the community at large. And so when you connect them back to their story and remind them why they got going, what would you say, we've got about a minute left for our first break, what would you say has been the most radical turnaround of an owner you worked with from when you shared your ideas with them and they just took them and ran with them? What's an idea of that, Mark?
Well, that's Terry is one of those.
Okay.
Another one was a registry. We have in Alberta, Canada, we have registries for car licensing and all that.
Okay.
And the one area that we had was the owner didn't care really about optics or about, he was all about procedures.
Okay.
Because it's very, very, very regulated.
Okay.
And when I went in and worked with him, we were able to turn it around that he could start giving his clients an experience as well.
Yeah, that's remarkable. Well, first of all, if you're listening here and you want a book for your reading list, you need to add lights, ! Camera, ! Action, ! That is Marc Haine's book. Now, his first name is spelled Marc if you're listening to this. Last name, Haine. You've got to add that book to your reading list. It was one of the few books that when I read it, I literally laughed out loud as I was reading it. Your humor comes through the book, but not only that, if business owners could just think in that paradigm of a live Broadway show and apply that to their business, wow experiences would be common. All right, we are up against a break. When we come back, we're going to get to hear Marc's story, which is going to be fascinating. You need to stay tuned. Join us back after the break.
Inspire, influence, and connect your audience with digital signage. Kaufman Media offers customizable digital signage solutions designed to meet your company's specific goals. Whether you need digital menu boards for your quick service restaurant, digital displays for marketing in your retail stores, or wayfinding and unified communications for your schools, your corporations, or your healthcare facility, our customizable, affordable options and proven experience make us the only partner you'll need for your next digital signage project. Visit kaufmanmedia.com today to learn more. That's COFFMAN media.com.
Would you buy a car from a dealer without a test drive first? For your business, a consulting partner is even more important. Accelerated Revenue is excited to announce the Take Us for a Test Drive event. Receive 2 exclusive workshops on customer experience and winning culture, a customized culture snapshot, and a leadership strategy session worth over $10,000, all in for just $2,500. Best of all, when you onboard our consulting team, we'll credit you the entire $2,500. Spots are limited, so visit our website today at accrev.com/test drive.
Check out John's worldwide selling book, Wow Your Customers, 7 Ways to World-Class Service on Amazon. Now, once again, here's John.
Welcome back to the Heroic Experience. We are so proud to be sponsored by Kaufman Media. Digital signage, it's all around you, and you might not be aware how much. You need to visit their website and find out how it could help your business. That's kaufmanmedia.com, spelled COFFMAN media.com. So happy to have Marc Haine, customer experience designer, author, and speaker, as our guest today. Marc, thanks for being with us. Like I said, this is my favorite segment of the show. I get to hear people's stories, and you go back as far as you like. We would love to hear your story.
Well, so one of the big questions I get, especially around my book, Lights, Camera, Action, Business Operational Excellence through the lens of live theater.
Mm-hmm.
People look at this and they go, this is really brilliant. I've never thought of it like this. How did you come up with it?
Okay.
And really, it started back in 2016. A colleague walked into my office and she says, Marc, you act, don't you? And I said, well, I act goofy, silly, most times just downright immature. And she goes, no, I'm part of this community theater group, and there's a part that I think you'd be perfect for.
Mm-hmm.
And I had never acted before. I had encouraged my kids to do it, but I had never acted. No, I have to be honest with you. I secretly wished, I wanted to give it a try, but I was scared because it's like I can't remember what I had for breakfast, John. How am I going to remember lines?
Right, and some parts have a lot of lines to them.
Yes.
And
funnily enough, as I progressed in the acting, I ended up getting monologues. So now, needless to say, I practiced my way of being able to remember what I had for breakfast. But anyway, so I'm doing this play.
Yeah.
And the play was called A Night in Provence, and it was situated in the south of France and so on. Mm-hmm. And I was hired. I was engaged to play the Irish guy. Okay. And so I walked around for weeks with my script in my ear as I walked to work every day, trying to put on an Irish accent.
Okay.
And then one day, the gentleman who was supposed to be playing the French guy didn't show up for rehearsals.
Oh.
And since the two of us weren't on stage until the very end of the play together, I said, you know what, I'll read the play. Well, the minute that they heard my Fringlish accent, because that is something I can do because I grew up in Canada, and I was in Quebec.
Right.
And so they heard this Fringlish accent, and they said, Marc, you have to play the French guy. And so I played the French guy. And I have to tell you, after 4 months of rehearsals, I don't care how funny the script is, nothing is funny. And by the time you get to 4th month, you're kind of like going, why am I doing this?
The humor has kind of worn off, hasn't it?
It does indeed. I tell you, nothing is funny. But what was interesting was we got to opening night.
Yeah.
The lights go down in the venue. Mm-hmm. And you can't see anything. It's just pure darkness. The lights are all on you.
Yeah.
And the minute you say a line and the crowd erupts in laughter, you think to yourself, this is why I did this.
Yes.
And what was interesting about it, like I went in, I was so excited after opening night. It was so exhilarating.
Yes.
And I went in an hour earlier than our call time the next day, and I turned on the lights. I was the first one in the venue. I turned on the lights. The whole stage lit up. Mm-hmm. And it's really kind of marvelous when you see that.
Yeah.
And so then I went up on the stage, and I sat on the couch, and I looked at everything that we had done. We had to build our own stage. So we had we have a carpenter partner, like one of our volunteers is a carpenter. We had to set up the whole stage on Sunday, so everybody is with electric screwdrivers and the whole bit to set up the scene. We had to put out all the tables. We had to coordinate all the volunteers. We had to coordinate the caterers. We had to coordinate every aspect of what the customer experience was going to be like. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I sat on that stage looking over all these tables that are set up for this evening's dinner service. And I thought to myself, if businesses could do as much effort
Yes.
into what they do every single day as we did to put on 6 shows,
Yeah.
their businesses would be amazing.
Right. Right.
And that was the catalyst for Lights, Camera, Action. That was really the kickoff to, I went from talking about customer service to talking about customer experience.
Yes. Yes. And while both are necessary, I years ago, I equated the two. I became familiar with CX, or customer experience, and their worlds different. Yes, they're interconnected. Yes, they're related. Customer experience, though, is way more holistic and I think way more impactful. Customer service is invaluable. I speak on it. I teach on it. So I'm not saying that it isn't. But customer experience goes even beyond that, because customer service is what we provide, and we can fine tune that and train that and get that better. But customer experience, it is entirely dependent upon the customer, what they experience, their feedback. So what they have when they interact with you, that's totally dependent on them, their takeaway. It's not anything about necessarily what we give, because real customer experience that gets into the weeds gathers what their experience was and then has this continuous improvement model, this loop of feedback, take action, feedback what you did, just ongoing, never ending, and viewing that continuous improvement loop as a blessing. And so in theater, if you don't have that kind of a loop going on, not only are you not going to fill butts in the seat, but you're not likely to have people looking forward to the next show. Can't wait until the next one comes out. And you can attest to this, Mark. Doesn't that infuse just a contagious energy in the people putting in the work for months to produce this, to where when the curtains go up, people are just salivating for the next experience? And businesses, imagine what that could be for them, right?
Absolutely, in every step of the way. And you know what's interesting about what you were just saying, John, is that I believe, and this is what I talk on, I believe that each one of our customers goes through a journey with us.
Yes.
So, you know, I think what happens with businesses, we start treating all customers the same.
The same, right. They're not.
And what we don't realize, you know, and let's take it from an employee perspective.
Yeah.
When you're onboarding a new employee, are you talking to them the same way that you're talking to them 2 years from now?
Right. Right.
Absolutely not. And
No.
but yet with customers, we tend to do the very same thing.
Yes.
And yet the customers are on the exact same kinds of journeys as your members are for your associations or your employees are for your businesses.
Yeah.
Where they start off as a prospect, they become a newbie. Once they become a newbie, they go into this taking phase where it's all about them. But then once they start building some loyalty, they want to be able to participate with what you're doing.
Yes.
And
right.
then you could turn them into massive ambassadors.
Yes, right. Yeah. The push advertising is like pushing a rope. My gosh, it's so ineffective compared to advertising that's pulling them in because you have advocates internally within your organization because they love what they do and it obviously comes through. But then you have advocates, especially outside of your organization, that can't stop talking about you. But that just doesn't happen accidentally or organically. It happens by intentionality. You mentioned this in the first segment. Intentionality.
Absolutely.
Okay, I got 30 seconds. Tell me your most interesting client, the industry that was most fascinating to you, that you helped turn things around for their customer experience, Mark.
Well, the most interesting was one that a client that I'd never dealt with, and that was a garage. It was a service garage.
Yeah.
Completely outside my realm, but still customer facing.
Very much so.
And so being able to work with him, like we worked with him in designing his employee experience because he kept turning over staff.
Yep.
And that was, to me, the most exciting because I'd never, ever stepped into the realm of a service garage before. And so just seeing what they're doing and then seeing where we could build in that experience model was great.
Awesome. Join us back after the break. We're going to hear more from Marc Haine.
Did you know that 70% of U.S. residents 12 and older recall seeing digital signage in the past week? Digital signage provides a 35% reduction in perceived wait time with a 30% increase in a customer's in-store browsing time. Kaufman Media offers customizable digital signage solutions designed to meet your company's specific goals. Christina said,
We love our digital signage. The software is easy to use and we can publish content in minutes. It allows for every department to be seen and have a voice.
Visit KaufmanMedia.com today to learn more. That's COFFMAN Media.com.
Attention event planners. Is your company or association planning a conference, seminar, or staff retreat? Are you looking for fresh ideas on high-demand topics like customer experience, leadership, empathy, customer service, earning and keeping trust, and more? Then you need to book John D. Hansen as your next speaker. Brooke said,
Great presentation. John's concepts help shift my thinking. A good fit for my life right now.
read more testimonials, discover John's full list of speaking topics, check out pricing and more on our website, accrev.com/keynote.
Would you like to be a guest on the Heroic Experience? Contact us at john.hansen@accrev.com. Now, once again, here's John.
Welcome back to the third and final segment of today's show of the Heroic Experience. We are so grateful to be sponsored by Kaufman Media, digital signage experts, and far more. Check out their website, kaufmanmedia.com. That's spelled COFFMAN media.com. We have Marc Haine, customer experience designer, author, speaker, and I would say actor extraordinaire, on air with us today. And Marc, conversation always, we're cut from the same cloth. We just love the things that we're passionate about, the customer and employee experience. What I'd love to hear is, I know you've got an event coming up, well, just in the next month, I think. I'd love to hear about what you've got going on.
Thank you so much. 35 days away and counting, John. 35 days. You know, one of the things that I've constantly come in through, now, my background started off in hospitality, and then I ended up working for economic development in a municipality. Okay. And as I got to know the business operators within the municipality, I realized every problem I had in hospitality, retailers had as well. Any customer service-facing business had it as well. And one of the biggest challenges people have is that we tend to promote our really good employees.
Yes.
So we have an astounding welder. It's like, Steve, you're such a good welder. Why don't we promote you to foreman, and you can teach everybody how to be as good a leader, as good as welder as you are, and we'll promote, and you promote your good performers
out,
but then we don't train them. And so what I've created with my partner Gene is we have created the Audacious Leaders Summit. It is designed for business owners who have never been trained in leadership, the first 5-year manager, the people who got that promotion and never got the training, and it's for entrepreneurs. So the idea with it is our Audacious Leaders Summit that's coming up on January 21st and 22nd has a theme, and the theme is DARE.
DARE.
Dare to be audacious. And DARE stands for decide, act, rethink everything. Because we are at a turning point in leadership right now.
Oh, yes.
We just come in, a year and a half ago, we were thrown to the wolves. All of a sudden, we had to take our skills, and we ended up throwing everybody into their houses, and we were expected to still lead them from their houses.
Yes.
But we were never trained on how to do it.
No. We already had a deficit in person.
Yes.
Yeah.
But now the transition is that people are starting to businesses are looking at their models and saying, how do we get people to work? Do we want them to stay at home?
Right.
Do we want them in-house? Like the big thing with people being in-house was because of lack of trust more than anything else.
Right.
Employers, you weren't considered working unless you were sitting at your desk.
Right.
And it was so interesting because when I was in economic development, I walked in after doing a 7 a.m. breakfast meeting, and I walked in at 8:45, and somebody looked at their watch and go, must be nice. And I said, what's the matter? They said, well, our day starts at 8:30. And it's like, well, lucky you, because my day started at 7. Right? But why is it that we have a perception that if people aren't sitting at their desk, they're not working? And so now the transition that's happening is, as the pandemic is kind of softening up a little bit, we'll see with Omicron, but as it's kind of wallowing itself out, we're going to be heading into not only the softening of the pandemic, but also the post-pandemic world.
Yeah, right.
And what is that going to look like? And that's what the Audacious Leaders Summit is focused on this time round.
Yeah, great timely topic.
On what is the future of leadership going to look like? And so we have some amazing speakers. All told, we have 19 speakers who are phenomenal. John is one of them. I'm so excited to have John back for my summit.
Well, I'm looking forward to that. What is the best place for them to go to get all kinds of details on that summit?
So they can go directly to www.audaciousleaderssummit.com. So leaders, plural. So it's audaciousleaderssummit.com.
And where can they find a copy of your book?
And my book is on Amazon. You can go to my website and order it directly. And if you email me, I'll even sign it for you.
Oh, bonus. Yeah, a signed copy. So lights, exclamation. So you need to say it this way. Lights, camera, action. That's the title of the book. You need to add that to your reading list, because if you're a business owner of any size, or say you're not a business owner, say you're an executive or a senior leader, reading this book will give you such a fresh take on how you're doing business, not what you do, how you're doing business. And I think it might inspire something when you think back to when you first started with that company or you first opened your business. I think that's super important. What would you say, Mark? People are like, customer experience, yeah, I've heard all about that. But a business owner could be like, that's nice and all, but what's the ROI? What's the return? Now, what are some things you can tangibly attach to that for the business owner that's thinking about getting into an intentional customer experience program?
Well, one of the challenges that we have is, especially with leaders who've been around for a little while, is that we end up we're working in our business, we're not working on our business.
Right.
And so one of the things that people can do is they can go to my website, which is marchaine.com. So it's MERCHAINE.com.
Mm-hmm.
And at the bottom of the top page, there's a customer touchpoint assessment where you get to check out your business from the perspective of your customers. It literally is like taking a magnifying glass or binoculars and just looking at one little piece of your business at a time.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this has nothing to do with customer service, but all about to do with customer touch points.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So what do they see that's going to give you the impression?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, because I think the big challenge that we need to get out of, we can't see the forest for the trees.
Yes.
We can't see the label from inside the jar.
Mm-hmm.
We need to be able to step out of our realm to be able to look at our business objectively.
Yes. One of the shows that our family enjoys is when Gordon Ramsay goes into restaurants that are failing and turns them around. What I found so intriguing was, even with a camera recording, the way that these places were operating, anyone from the outside could clearly see this is dysfunctional at best or disastrous at worst. How do they not see this? Well, that's where having fresh eyes of someone who's on your side, that wants you to succeed, coming in, and I would say, Mark, that your personality is way softer than Gordon Ramsay's. But the end result, though, is going to be just as effective. Let me come alongside, support what you're already doing well, and then let's look at the things that need to be improved so that your place can become a magnet for the ideal clients and team members. That the second part is even more important. I don't care how good your product or service is. If you can't find quality people that are happy to come to work every day, and plenty of other businesses are fighting for those same people nowadays, you're behind already. You've got to be figuring out, how would you say, when we got about a minute left, what would you say would be one of the keys for 5-star employee experience, Mark?
Number one, design their experience. From the minute they walk in their door, they're your number one customer.
Yes, they are.
And they also have a journey with you. And you need to design that experience with them.
And isn't that intentionality, right?
Because this will make you the employer of choice.
Yeah.
Especially when they're saying that, the unemployment rate is so low now and people are struggling for staff.
Yes.
How are you making yourself the employer of choice?
Right.
How are you standing out in the minds and the hearts and the souls of the people who work with you?
Yeah, I know. We're both scratching our heads here, Mark. We can't see each other because we're joining by phone, but we're scratching our heads like, okay, so we know we're facing a challenge of finding people, let alone good people. Wouldn't it be an excellent time to figure out some ways to be different, stand out, differentiate in the space? Well, time has flown. Our conversation with Mark has been, as always, super enjoyable. You need to find him and stay connected. If you want more of the Heroic Experience, we are available on Spotify, Podbean, YouTube, on our channel Accelerated Revenue, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music. You can find it on our website, accrev.com. However you do it, We are here to elevate your business to heroic success. We'll see you on the next show.
This has been the Heroic Experience. To learn how your business can be profitable and heroic, visit ACCREV.com. For access to free weekly content, subscribe to the Accelerated Revenue YouTube channel and follow John D. Hansen on LinkedIn. To listen to archived shows, find them on the Accelerated Revenue website under the Resources tab, ACCREV.com.